Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Snap, what it do?
Oh yeah, Georgette, what it do?
That's where it is. That's the spirit. Welcome to Black and Nuance Podcast. Black and Nuance Podcast, dispelling the ideas that all black people are monoliths, because we're not. We bring our varying perspectives to pop culture, relationships, and things we go through that we can't always name. So welcome to Black and Nuance. So snappity snap, and I'm going to get more into this, and I'm excited about doing this. We have a special guest on. And so this is a woman I went to school with. We've known each other, for over 10 years. And so people thought we were sisters in real life. And so we've always called each other sis. And then we're sorority sisters as well. But people thought we were sisters way before we joined our sorority. So anywho, our special guest today is Gerine.
Hi, I'm here.
I can't.
I'm alive.
Yes, because she was in Dallas this past weekend. So we're recording this on a Monday. She was in Dallas this past weekend, so it was a lot of shenanigans. And she stayed with my line sister when I went out there a couple of weekends ago. And so, but I wanted to bring Gerine in so we could have a nuanced conversation about some of the topics that we're going to get into today for episode 11. And y'all ready to get into it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're ready.
So I know
We're
you
ready,
all.
G.
Yeah, let's do this. So I know that we all use Instagram the way we use Instagram, but there's this, I don't want to call it an epidemic, but this is what they were calling it. So I stumbled across this article, shout out to Blavity, and there's this thing called, catfishing. So catfishing is, one, it's a show on MTV, but two, it was the concept of people being online, posing as somebody else, basically lying about their identity. So I could be this black girl, but the picture that I'm showing you online could be of this white man. So that's catfishing, right? And
Absolutely.
people get legit caught up relationships, and I'm just like, okay.
They do.
But
For
have y'all?
years, I watched that show.
Yeah, it's just, people are really in there, like, crying, like, I can't believe they lied to me, like, really? Like, so you're going to just date someone and be in love with someone that you've never met before? Like, that's a thing.
But it happens, though.
It does happen, and okay.
People use celebrities, too. They use
they do. They use celebrities. But the fact that you think a celebrity would be on some random ass group chat or online chat, it happens. So it does. That's fine. That's me judging. I get it. I thought people would just, be a little bit smarter than the average bear. So, but there's this thing called niggerfishing. So I stumbled across this. It said the article title is "White Models Are Passing as Black" on Instagram and Twitter, and they're being called out, and they're calling it niggerfishing or blackface, or what has been dubbed, niggerfishing. So essentially, it was like, I think a week or so ago, this Twitter user, she shared a direct message about a popular Instagram influencer. I'm not going to name the name. I'll just point you all to the article, and I'll put it in our show notes. But this Instagram influencer, I guess, is allegedly, it's believed that a lot of this influencer's followers believed she was black or a person of color. And so she was accused of actually being white in the direct message or the DM that was sent to her. And so the girl replied back and was like, I've never said that I was black. I am from this, that, and the third. And so they were going, they were calling it niggerfishing, niggerboozled, like bamboozled. And they were going in, and there was more so this woman started this thread on Twitter, was telling people to call out other instances of white models or non-POC models that appear black online. And so wanted to get y'all thoughts on that. It's kind of crazy though, because when you look at these pictures, and again, like I said, I'm going to put the link in the show notes. But when you look at these pictures, these women.
Yeah, whoever's doing her tan is doing a hell of a job.
Yeah.
'Cause that's exactly, and then also I'm sure she's out in L.A. somewhere, so she's getting a lot of surgery done.
Right.
To her face. You could tell by her lips, because they want our lips so bad.
Right.
And so, definitely I could see how she is passing. And I'm saying that very hesitant because, you could kind of look and tell that she's had work done,
Right. And so the other gag is, and then Snap, I want to hear your comment as a from the male perspective. So the rapper Vince Staples went on Twitter and he was like, everybody search niggerfishing, just trust me. And it says niggerfishing is Caucasians posing as black and beautifuls. Black and beautiful. Y'all get it? Black and beautiful. Okay.
See?
On social media, if we catch you in the streets nigger fishing, we will jump you and take your social. He said we must address this hot cutting issue. And so, yeah.
Well, shout out to him for taking up for the black woman.
Well, they felt like
appreciate it.
Well, no, absolutely. I guess the whole concept in the woman that called it out was basically feeling like potential dollars were being taken away from real black women of or real women of color on Instagram, because now being an Instagram influencer or even a social media influencer is a thing. So Snap, when you saw these pictures, what's your thoughts as a black male? That, because men, no shade to you all, but you all don't really necessarily know. Like, y'all look at the surface like, oh, she's beautiful, she's this, not thinking twice about it.
And I think that's what the main thing is, because literally, if I'm attracted to you, there's no color line. It's like I never really saw a color line. It was always, yo, I think she cute. If she like me, then we're gonna kick it. But if she don't like me, then I'm gonna just move on. But again, remember, I did a lot of dating in my lifetime, and a lot of it early was with white folk.
Oh, what? I didn't know that. Come on,
See?
speak on it. Speak on it.
See?
Right, because we're going to get into that in all of the things, but I want to hear Snap and his reference to this.
I don't want to say it was the area, but what I can say is when we moved to Queens from Brooklyn, we were the first black family on the block that we lived on.
Okay.
And so there were no other kids to play around with, blah, blah, blah. So as a kid, I wasn't trained or was taught about all the craziness that happened in the past. Like my dad never really went through that with me. So again, there were no barriers. My best friends were white, kind of thing.
Right.
I'll tell you, I'll go deeper a little later. But like, I was arrested when I was in the 7th grade.
What year was this?
It was in 86.
Okay.
86.
Popping in 86.
So,
right.
So, and the charge was statutory rape. The young lady was a white girl. She was a white girl in my class, and it was crazy because it was right before the Christmas break. I remember coming home from school and getting a phone call from a detective who was like, listen, blah, blah, blah. So, again, I had to, of course, moms came home. I told moms. The next day, I just remember being at a lawyer's office telling this story from start to finish, like of this whole day of what happened. At the end of the day, the charges were dropped. I think she panicked because, again, I'm in the 7th grade. She thought she was pregnant.
So you actually had sex with this girl?
Yes.
So y'all were, how old were both of you all? Yeah, because Gerine and I were like, wait, so did something happen? And the funny thing is, it was a whole bunch of shenanigans because, again, I'm young and dumb. There was no condom in play. I'm going to tell you how stupid I was. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wow.
I'm at my friend's house trying to do too much. Again, so at the end of the day, I could have got him in trouble, not knowing, the situation. And I didn't use a proper means of protection. I'm using some neck shit that's on the side here. So, I pulled this plastic bag. I think it was like a Wonder Bread bag cover or something like that. Doing too much, right? So anyway, long story short, 3-4 days later, she thought she missed her period, told her mom she was raped. I was arrested for statutory rape.
Why people
again,
get away with shit like that?
And what grade?
I was in the 7th grade.
So that's what, 12, 13?
I'm about 12 years old.
Golly,
so,
12?
Wow.
God
So
damn.
you're talking about had that gone the way that it should have went after they charged me, you're talking about a whole lifetime of me having to register as a sexual offender. I would have did
For a
I would've
fucking
did
lie.
For a lie. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, again, and this is why I say not all people are bad. Now, there's some bad folk out there. There's some bad tiki torching and shit like that, but they are not all bad.
Not all people. You mean not all white people?
Absolutely.
That's
and
funny
so,
how you didn't want to say. Why didn't you want to say?
I don't
Why?
do the color like that.
But you
like,
were referencing a color though, Snap. You got to name it.
Absolutely. But again, I just...
You see that Snap panders, and I call him out every fucking time.
But I can't help it. But again, had this woman just been evil and on some next shit, I would have been in jail. I would have, totally different lifestyle. But because she found the good in herself, even though she was mad, like you how could you do this? Like, you know, again, I didn't reap the repercussions of that judgment, that bad judgment that I made that day. But again, even in doing that, I wasn't fully educated on what goes on in life and real life and the challenges between black and white. I never really saw it like that. So even my first child, my daughter's mom is Spanish, and the complexion of Spanish is not that like Dominican brown Spanish. She looks white. But the very first time she did a technical school, right after high school, she did like this beauty school called Barbizon up north. I don't know if y'all remember that, but it was a beauty school called like Barbizon. And a few weeks through the class, one day she came home made up and totally looked like a different person to me. Like her skin was like this pretty brownish, like butter kind of.
So to you, like,
and it was foundation.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this whole time that this is what women use in these pictures.
So when you're looking at that, you're not thinking twice about.
I'm not thinking it like.
Well, but the extremes. Oh, Gerine, were you trying to say something?
No. I'm just still stuck on the 7th grade. But go ahead.
Right. Okay. Because we're gonna get right. Okay. But
Lord,
I know.
I can't believe they did all of that. But I will say, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
But I will say that I don't think that they dropped the charges just because they were nice. Like I think maybe they dropped the charges because of what they would have had to do in order to prove, you know, that was something that you did. You know,
right.
She would have had to been put on stand. And with that comes a lot of pressure, and we see that even today in politics and, you know, and all of that good stuff, that it's a lot of pressure on girls to even prove that really did happen. So
I feel like that story within its own needs to be an
I don't
episode.
think they did that because he was such a nice guy.
And that's why I said,
no, I know, like that story that Snap told should be its own episode.
Right, and I was just throwing that.
And in regards to like the nigger,
right, but I think she did the right thing. She knew what the right thing was at the end of the day.
Right, and so I mean, in all, like tying it back to like the whole nigger fishing, like some of these women are like, they're not intentionally doing that, but again, you don't know a lot of these intentions when these people post these pictures, right? It's pictures. A lot of people are getting anxiety and depressed over Instagram, right? Especially the young people that right, because that's what they've been building their life up against this or around this and their looks and their beauty. But you know, I think the Twitter handle of the woman that said, you know, post all the pictures that you see. Her name is she goes by Wanna's World. And so, you know, she said this is alarming. I'm curious on if anyone else has seen anything like this before. I don't dig in the trenches of Instagram, so I wouldn't come across these things. Like, I think I would have to really spend some time on Instagram. And so, but I think the whole idea of nigger fishing is definitely interesting. And so if you are not black, I would not recommend you saying nigger fishing. I wouldn't even recommend you typing that shit out. So, but yeah, so to Snap, it's just like any other woman. They're wearing makeup. He's not thinking twice about it. But us as black women, because what we deal with as black women is we have been told to hate our features. No one we wouldn't even be considered for jobs based off of how we look. And then you have white women out here tanning, getting butt injections, lip injections. We already know a famous celebrity that gets lip injections, right? And so it's always interesting to kind of see these types of things play out for whatever the cause or whatever the reason is.
But you'd be surprised how many men don't do research, don't look into it,
don't even
know that they woman had these injections or things like that.
But the thing is, like with people being vain, I know. Who was it? I was listening to the Brilliant Idiots, and this girl said she got breast implants, and the man that she dealt with before and after loves them. So then you have men that are like bigging this up as well, like, oh my gosh, like I love that she has bigger titties, but there's health things behind that. Women have died behind butt injections. You know, like that's a legit thing. But again, because you all are physical creatures and you all only are looking with your eyes most of the time, first beyond like women looking more surface level, beyond surface level at times.
Absolutely.
You all are missing these things or not seeing these things, or, you know, it goes over your heads.
It's weird.
I don't think it's weird. I just think sometimes you all, it's like ignorance is bliss, right? Like you all don't.
There you go.
Y'all don't
That's
want
what it
to.
is.
It's not weird. Y'all just don't want to think about what's happening for her to have the look that she has, because when she wakes up next to you looking like Shawanda from In Living Color, what's that her name? Jamie Foxx's character?
Wanda
with the lip.
Wanda, yeah.
When they wake up, I thought it was Shawanda. When they wake up looking like that, all of a sudden, like y'all don't want to be with her or get her out the bed, but it's just I don't like that.
But it's not just white women. It's like
no, I'm not talking about white women, but I'm just talking about, again, like what happens, what women do. So the perfect example, sis, you saw Napoli Ever After?
I did.
Did you see it, Napoli Ever After on Netflix?
No.
So basically,
it was good.
Oh, go ahead.
It was good. Most people said it was predictable, but I kind of, even though it was, I still like.
Well, yeah, but as a black woman, we get it, right? Like I went through the insecurity, and I couldn't wait to get a relaxer at 16, and now I don't have a relaxer. But basically, Snap. Sanaa Lathan's character was very self-conscious and insecure about her looks and her hair, and her mom made her that way, right? So she was laying down next to this man that she was dating for however long. She would roll out the bed. Her mom would creep in the house, in the living room, downstairs. She would get her hair pressed by her mom, roll right back in the bed next to that man. So when he wakes up, all of a sudden she's beautified. But that's what I'm saying. Like y'all are not thinking about what, and not to say like you all have to sit and think and ponder like what did she do to look like this? But
I think because we've been tricked for so long.
I don't think it's been tricked. You
not. You know what? And I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't want to use the word trick, but women have a way of transforming. You have a way of going looking like this today and looking like this tonight, and so we can't do that. So when I see somebody who has that brown look, that okay, you remember the show Chips? I always say that Eric Estrada look because Eric Estrada was a Latin dude, but again, he fit in with white America, but he just had this golden tan look that was like the standard of a tan. It was like everybody wanted that look, you know. So when I see it, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, she been at the beach, you know, we live in Miami or something like that. I'm not saying it as, I didn't look that deep as, wow, this white woman is taking income away from a potential black model or any other black person who may be able to make
it's only because it was the platform with Instagram, but I understand what you're saying overall, and you're absolutely right. Sis, what were you about to say?
No, I don't feel like men are tricked. I think a lot of things, okay, this is how I feel. I feel like sometimes, you know, we look outside of like our homes and things like that as you know, to idolize people or like, for example, like of people of success and things like that. And I think a lot of men see the type of women that most successful, you know, black men have. And not all the time you're going to find a Sterling Brown who go gets a chick that wears an alpha on the regular. You know, there's a lot of, you know, there's most of the time the girl, even if she is black, she's mixed with something. She's not, you know, she's not wearing her fro out. She's not wearing her natural hair. Or if it is her natural hair, it's curly, it's long, it's, you know, so I think sometimes, a lot of, like, just the media plays a great part in it on just men just being oblivious. Like, they're not even, you know, thinking, you know, they're just not even thinking about it. They just feel like this is what beauty is and this is what they want. Because the men that they look up to, that's what they have. And that's how I feel about it.
I mean, listen, men, and we can end it on this note, and before we go into the other segment, but you see the epidemic with men getting hairlines and like stuff painted on. I don't even know what you call it, but it's looking. Me either. It looks ugly and it looks fake.
Ugly, but they doing what we do. But my thing is, I don't like, judge is not the word, but I don't really, you know, laugh at them or make too much of a comment about that. Because, I mean, they're like, hell, if you guys are doing it, then we're going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So,
right. But you know what? But
it's so funny when women comment on pictures of men doing that type of stuff, but, like, they have bundles on bundles on bundles. You know, like, if you're going to, if you can't give your authentic self, then you can't expect a man to, you know,
give his.
Not want to do
I mean, well, I guess I'm speaking from the whole standpoint of, you know, I definitely, because I'm not getting any work done. I don't want to get any work done. But as far as like adding anything, like my breasts are big, they are concealed, but my breasts are naturally big because my mom's side of the family, my butt is proportioned to my body. But to be honest, like I definitely agree. Like I don't think I will say I don't like how it looks on men. I think it looks crazy. I think like it looks like paint on their face, right? But
yeah, it does.
I think that maybe that style, but when it looks concealed and you don't necessarily know, like remember how they were joking about Tyga and Safari having headlines? Like I wouldn't have known that, right? Like I didn't know they did anything. So men are just as like, oh well, if it looks like it's naturally her skin color or whatever, you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. I just think the extremes are where we got to kind of. That's when I think it's right. Yeah, that's where I draw the line at least. But everyone, if you have money,
if you white, if you white, say that you're a white model,
right? But I
didn't say that she was a black. But I mean, you trust and believe. You know that people are looking at you. Like I could tell a white model from a black model. Like
right,
you doing all of that.
Well, that's what I think. I think that's what the issue is. Yep.
Right, like come on now. Just because you're not saying you're a black model,
right,
does not mean that that's not your intention.
Right,
so,
I agree.
You deserve to be called out, and whoever else is doing that,
yeah,
I
agree.
They deserve to be called out.
I think that was the sentiment, right? Like it's like you don't have to physically say that you're posing as black, but it's the fact that like people are being misled to think that you're black. It's the same sentiment, right? Like when people talk about the Kardashians wearing cornrows. Okay, that's in other people's mind, like that's cultural appropriation. But just because you're saying like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not doing that. It's just like that hairstyle was used during this certain period of time for black people to blah, blah, blah. There's a correlation to it as it relates to people of color. So anywho, so yeah, that's nigger fishing.
And there's a little double standard in that too.
But there's a double standard in everything.
Because all educated black folk are trying to be white, so you got your white voice
on.
We're going
to make that an episode because I disagree with people calling something a black voice and a white voice. But
right.
Yeah, like there's no such thing. Like there's no such thing. I refuse. I feel like anywho, we're not going to get into that because thank you, Snap, because that's a topic. Okay, that's next week, y'all. Okay,
and this has nothing to do with it, but when it comes back to the Kardashians, I don't have a problem with them wearing cornrows, but do not call them whatever they call them braids. Call them cornrows.
Okay.
Oh, what were they? What did they call them?
What do they call them?
Derek
braids.
Princess Leia braids.
Oh yeah.
They gave some style
to make it marketable.
He had them on them.
Right.
And then they gave him, whatever. They gave the name of the braids. They named it after him. Or some stupid mess like that. I don't really know.
Yeah, but it's cornrows. Come on now. Yeah, cornrows like that. We would still put our hair in cornrows for protective hairstyles. Like when I would get my crochet faux locks, my hair was in cornrows underneath. So transitioning.
Chill out with the renaming. That's all I'm saying.
Chill out with the renaming of black hairstyles that have always been around.
Exactly. We've already
even during slavery days, right?
See, that's taking it too far. That's when
they
rename the cornrows.
Well, yeah, that's disrespectful. That's insulting.
Okay.
So anywho.
So there you go.
Transitioning into all of the things, and this is where we talk about something personal that happened in our day, our week, or just something heavy or lighthearted. So I wanted to bring up interracial dating, just to kind of segue from nigger fishing. Interracial dating was an interesting topic because I remember talking to my friend about this, and she was very adamant, and she is not a fan, and she's not here for black men. Let me say black cis men dating white cis women. And again, I'm cis meaning the male and the female identify with the sex or the gender that they were born with. But she is not a fan of it. And Gerine actually wasn't a fan, and she had an opinion about it. So I wanted to break up just you and I, Snap, having our opinions about it, and I just want to kind of dig more into that. And since we have a special guest on the phone, I want to... Actually, nope, I'm going to put Snap on the spot first, because I don't want him to try to pull from anyone else. I want to know, because Snap and I were talking about it this morning. Snap, what's your take? And I want you to be honest, no pandering, but what's your take on interracial dating? More so the perspective of, let's say, black cis men dating white cis women and black cis women dating white cis men.
That's challenging. I only say it because, again, when
you
originally
said,
no, well, I said, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Let me stop.
So
that was too much. That was too much.
So we all know that I've dated interracially in the past. I am with a black woman today. But again, a part of my childhood was a part of the resistance. I think a lot of that was my mom didn't approve of it, kind of, sort of. So I did it. I think I had one or two family members that was on that real pro-black movement, that fight the power. And, I didn't understand it, but
Did you seek to understand it?
I didn't. But instead of them getting me to understand it, it was more lashing out as to, so I rejected it. So it was like, even when if they were trying to get me to understand something, I wasn't trying to understand it, because again, I believe that love is in everybody, and if you feel for somebody,
He sound like Kanye. Let me stop. I'm joking.
if you feel for somebody, that's the direction you go into. Now, I did believe when I was younger that when you dated white women, they just did things a little differently, sexual wise.
So I want you to be very specific, because you got two black women on this podcast.
I don't know. I don't know if white women grow up into porno or things like that.
But even speak from your own experience on what you thought.
Okay.
Black women
so my experiences with white women, when it came to like whether it was head or whether it's just new positions or whether it was even down to the communication during sex, white women tend to say shit or get you to do shit or want you to do shit, and black women were more reserved. In my opinion, and
from your experience,
from my experience,
okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just, it was just different. But I was kind of afraid to approach black women to do certain things because, again, I wasn't sure because, from my understanding, they were just things that black women didn't do.
But who gave you that? Where did you get that understanding or that ignorance from?
There is no one person that told me that. I think it was just like, growing up, I used to say to myself, in my lifetime, there will never be a black president. And here we are 10 years later. I was, 10 years ago, I was like, wait a minute. How? Like, so, but my whole life, I could remember even comedians, and maybe it's comedians that drill things into your head, or just your people you look up to, fans, like things like that. And I can remember maybe Eddie Murphy saying a joke about there'll never be a black president, or imagine what the White House would be. But then even when we got Obama, it was like some people expected him to be like this. But when he wasn't like that, now it was like the separation came. So I just believe if you went to somebody, you went to somebody.
What does that mean, Snap? We are not a mind reader, Snap mind reader.
Okay. I'm not going to say I'm dating interracially now because I'm not. But if there are people dating interracially, I don't see anything wrong with it. I do know that there is a side of our culture that we went through some BS, and I can understand the frustration, and I know there's history on why we shouldn't do it. I can hear it. I understand it. But at the end of the day, it's like, when do we move forward?
What was the allure for you to white women? Hold on, sis. I want him to answer this because I felt like he was saying more earlier this morning when we were. What was the allure for you, and what is the allure, generally speaking, that it was from people that you knew that wanted to sleep with white women? We're talking about sexually speaking.
Yeah, and I don't know. Or maybe again, it was the environment I was surrounded around, kind of like how so Obama grew up. You know, he was surrounded by.
So you got everything you wanted sexually from a white woman.
Yeah, but I was young, so I was just into that experience. No, I can't say no, but the fun. I think that's what it was, and there were parts of me who said, like I know in life, I'm like, man, can I be with a white woman for the rest of my life? Can I go through those challenges? Can I? And I'm one of those dudes who like, opinions matter to me. So I would find myself like looking over my shoulder,
like you care what people think about you.
Yeah, and so.
Right.
I think that's what, and a part of maturing kind of was like, this is something that I didn't want to deal with for the most part. And so I think that's the direction I went in. But again, growing up, white was in. It was, white dolls. We didn't, my cousins, they didn't have like black dolls. And then when they did have black dolls, they didn't look like us. It was, they wasn't the Barbie looking black dolls, kind of, sort of. Yeah. And that's what I grew up around playing. I'm playing with, seeing them play with on TV. I grew up with the Wonder Woman. I grew up with the Charlie's Angels, things like that, the Bionic Woman. These were all white women figures who was like, growing up, there were no real iconic, but I was too young for Jackie Brown, I think. but
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
so, visually, a lot of the coolest women on TV were white women. And so I think a lot of that kind of like absorbed. I don't, maybe that's not the right word, but, and so it was attractive to me. And I don't think it's just little boys like me. I think it's just little boys are attracted to whatever. So I'm not looking at Ariana Grande and saying, Ariana Grande, you look like you can be black. You look like you can be a mix something. I'm not thinking about her as white, but we know she's Latino, but she fits in with that white crowd kind of sort of. So, but I'm like, that's somebody I would have liked. And so you can't. And so I think that's what I was fighting as a younger person. I was like, you can't tell me that I can't like her because she looks like this, And so I think that's what I dealt with. And, I fought with that a long time. Because I think everybody is cool. I love all women. I had great relationships with black women. I've had great relationships with white women. But I know that in those relationships, a part of me was like, you can't do this for much longer. And so there was always a time limit on it. And I think a part of me was like,
right, that's deep.
Yeah, a part of me was like, maybe, so I fought with that for a long time. But then again, I always think back to me being in the 7th grade and me messing with this little
and
white
that
girl.
And her fucking family lying on
this
you.
This could have changed my life completely.
No, really.
Could have, right.
So,
we wouldn't even be sitting here.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
We wouldn't
absolutely
be
not.
sitting here.
Right.
That's so insane. Sis, go ahead, because I'm going to do the other dynamic, and I want you to chime in, and I'll have my comments, too.
No, okay, so I have to take my time on this because this is a conversation that comes up a lot that I have with just friends here in New York. We talk about it. But for me, and let me be clear, it's not that I do not like interracial dating couples and all of that, or that I think of, people like that are less black. Like you're black, that type of thing for me. I just feel like the black family is so important. And especially seeing healthy black relationships, it is something that I want for my life. It's something that, I feel like, just are great examples for our children that are growing up now to see that you can have a loving, successful relationship and both be African American, and you don't have to go date a white person to get ahead, or and those. So when I say I'm just pro black love,
there you go,
because of those reasons. Not that I do not like interracial relationships. It's just I would prefer a black man. What excites me or what I am attracted to is a black man, and it's not anyone outside of that race, our race. And so, but I mean, there's good people that have come from interracial, marriages or couples.
Well, Obama is one of them, right?
Obama is one of them. Tracy Ellis Ross, who I love, those. But
they identify with their
Meghan
blackness.
With their black, exactly.
Or their black, right. I'm not saying like they're ignoring their whiteness, but they're, go ahead.
But they're just, they celebrate being black.
Black, yep.
Just as much or even more
right.
than,
right.
Being white. And so, but this is where it gets under my skin. It's when and here I go. Here we go again.
I might agree with you. I think I know where you're going, though. I think I know where you're going.
No, it's always the intent behind the decision.
Yep.
If you're doing something, I understand what you're saying, that, love is love and you should see no color. I'm Christian and I believe in that. But my thing is, if you're only doing it because you don't care about the love, you just want to be with a white woman because she's white, and you don't want to be with a black girl because you don't want to quote unquote deal with the mad black woman,
right.
or a white woman will submit. Black women do not. All of these excuses, aka lies, right. about black women.
Right.
Then me and you have a problem.
The stereotypes.
No, I agree with that, and I didn't mean to cut you off, sis, but because
no, go ahead.
So when I reconnected with one of my guy friends that I've known for a good while. He married this black woman. He's going through the divorce, and whatever happening in their marriage is happening in their marriage. And he was like, "Man, see, it's something about y'all black women." I was like, "No, no, no." I said, "It's not black women. It's the women that you chose to marry." I said, "We are not all the same," and I said that has nothing to do with her being black. You all weren't on the same page. I said, let's be very clear about that, right? And so it does burn me.
Was he black?
Yeah.
And see, we.
But y'all, that's, I don't understand. What burns me is that's the first place you go when something's not working out, but not willing to look at yourself. What did you contribute to things going awry in the relationship, whether it's marriage or whether it's just a relationship? Everyone, you can't point the finger because there's three fingers pointing back at you at all times. When you blame people, that's only one finger with three pointing back at you. And so I definitely agree because I would always hear like, oh, well, the generalization of like, well, black women won't do this, well, black women won't do that. No, listen, like I understand like there is a stereotype, but I think this, and I'm going to speak and go a little bit deeper. I think the frustration from black women is we do not have black men out here caping. There are not enough black men out here caping for black women. And black women are tired. We are tired. We are tired. We are tired. We are out here, on the front lines of various things. And the least we can do is have, we have, what's the word that I'm looking for? We have, not people in our corner, but they call it shit. Not feminists, but whatever it is, we have people like men representing as well, and being there and being supportive for women and their varying causes versus being like, man, black women are this, so I'm just going to deal with an Asian woman, a Hispanic woman, a white woman. But there's stereotypes that come with Hispanic women.
Right. But see, with me, it was never that.
And no, we're not saying that. Right. No. We're speaking from black women and a black woman perspective, Snap. And we're also speaking from like experiences, like conversations I've heard growing up, noticing in high school. It's funny. And so now I want to flip the perspective, unless since you have more comments. I want to talk about the black woman being with a white man.
Well, and then the last comment I have to make is, we have to stop putting like black women in this little box and say this is only what black women do.
Right.
Because black women are multi-faceted. We do a lot. And so there are women who may be kinky and there may be women who are reserved. Black women are not just this one thing.
We are not black. All black people are monoliths.
Just like we have all different levels of melanin, it's the same way with all, just overall who black women are. You can't put us in this little one box, and think that every person is different, because the way I love intimacy may be different from how you do it, Georgette. You know what I'm saying? So you can't, like you said, sis, you just ran into the wrong one.
Right. That's all it is.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You just didn't find the one that fit you, but that doesn't mean
that they don't exist.
That they don't exist, which leads into what you're saying: black women dating white men.
Wait, one more comment because I want to. Well, so I agree with you, sis. On the whole, like, my stance is I love our black men, and I'm not to knock anyone else, but I've been attracted to different people outside of black men, but my preference is black men. There is something about building with another black man and then just perspectives and things that we can relate to and all that jazz. But I just love us. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how else to describe that, but that's not knocking anybody. But so go to your point. So the black women dating white men. So my perspective is different. I'm not going to lie to you. So it's actually harder for me to digest seeing a black woman with a white man, and this is the reason why. And this is how I felt growing up, and my mom is married to a white man. So this is the same woman when I was younger, and I was hanging out with this guy in high school, this white guy in high school, and he and I never were intimate, but he was hella cool, and at that time he had a car, so he was the only one that had a car. We all had our license, but no one had a car, and so I would hang out with him. He would drive everywhere, all this other stuff. He was hella cool, and my mom was like, oh, so you're dating white boys now? So she kind of taunted me about it, right? And then years later, she gets married to a white man, right? Like, she divorces my father. She gets married to a white man. But I'm not knocking any black women that are with a white man or men of, like, someone that's not a man of color. But it just seems like there's a certain weakness I don't black women are seen as superwomen and strong, and I know those are stereotypes that we have to be mindful of, right? But because of knowing that the white man was our oppressor and was raping black women, that's the only thing that pops up in my mind when I think about a black woman being with a white man. I have not been able to separate, but I'm always cool and respectful. My mom didn't raise me to be disrespectful, and so I'm cool with her husband. He's not. I don't call him my stepfather. I'm too old for that shit. I don't care what the laws are and how the rules work when someone marries a new. Nah, I don't have any step parents. I'm good. Like my father is still here. We're rocking out. We're good. But respectful. Speak to him every time I see him when I come to my mom's house. All that. But that's just my take. It's harder for me to digest seeing a black woman with a white man. So.
Well, I don't look at it as that like as she's being weak, sis. That's never been my thought process when I see, because we have that a lot here. We even have a friend, sis, here that just a white man married to a black woman.
Oh yeah, and then he's hella cool, right? I know who. Yeah, I know exactly.
He's
right.
really cool. So, but the first thing that comes to mind when I see that, and maybe it shouldn't, and maybe I need to start.
Same. I need to work on it.
Yeah, my thinking needs to be right. But the first thing I think is, man, a lot of black men have done her wrong.
So interesting.
Because it's with a lot of my friends, and I won't say any names, that has happened. And
okay.
Even with celebrities, there's one celebrity, a huge athlete, and that was something that she said in the media, and it became such a big thing.
Who was it?
You know, that all of these black men did her wrong. Celebrities.
Sis, who is a celebrity? No, but the example, like, that's actually a good perspective. I've never looked at it that way. I want to know who this celebrity is.
No, so I think, if I'm not mistaken, Serena Williams.
Okay.
Had
Gotcha.
This controversy with that when she married her husband, and I'm sure she's in a wonderful marriage, and
Alex
I follow
Ohanian
her,
or something like that.
and that and it looks like her husband truly loved. So if it's for love, I get it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes when I do see it, that's my first thought, because I've heard it from a friend's mouth, like, hey, I'm so sick of black men. They're because they didn't grow up with their father, they can't commit, they don't know how to treat a woman, blah, 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 blah. So they give up and they go and date outside of the race. I see it. I see a lot. I have seen it a lot, and I've heard it a lot. And so I think that, so your experience is kind of different from mine,
right,
as far as like where the thinking goes, because that's what I, have come in contact with, friends, colleagues.
I don't know why my thinking goes that. I don't know where it came from, but it literally, there was this weakness, and not to say that I'm ashamed. It's just, but I don't scoff at it, right? Like, I don't scoff when I see it. And so I just want to make that very clear, that when I see it, I'm not over here pointing fingers like, oh, I can't believe she's dating that white man. It's just like, damn, like, all right, if she's happy, she's happy. So, Snap, what are your thoughts?
Again, I'm stuck. And the reason I'm stuck is because I don't think about it like that.
Yeah.
I would never say, oh man, she's been hurt by so many black dudes, she's got a white dude. I'm just thinking that's her preference. It's
right.
Like, that's her cup of tea. So
that's where she's at.
But again, and hearing people, and see, this is what we lack in our community. That discussion.
Right.
Yep.
When you talk about the black family, I didn't grow up with the mom and dad together at home. So that whole family situation was never spoken of.
Right.
Even if that's what my mom would have wanted, we never, she never talked to us about, this is what real love should be. This is what real life should be in our community.
Like, so your family background is like the example of Jerine's friend, like, oh, the black man, he didn't have a father in the house. So, but that's stereotypically speaking on your background, because you could have still grown up to be. Right,
and that's what I'm saying. So I don't want to totally put that on, but there is just so much that I never thought of. I would have never thought, the history behind what they used to do to the women. And I didn't think about the history of the first mixed kids were from white men, black women. They weren't black men, white women.
Right.
So,
right.
But nowadays, if you look at all of the commercialing, that's what they're selling you. Like I mentioned one time, the Cheerios commercial.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
a
the
new
black
commercial.
man, the ambiguous looking. So it's not even white at this point. It's ambiguous
So
looking.
now there's a commercial that I see
Yeah.
the other day. They shopping, Christmas is right around the corner. There's a black man sitting on his couch, mixed baby, white wife, and the child presents the wife with a diamond or pearl not pearl, it's like a diamond.
What, made out of Cheerios?
No.
Oh, this is a
it's a
different
real
commercial.
diamond,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
necklace. And of course, so the child has this look on her face like, I know I got you that, mommy, but I know I didn't buy that. But this is what they're selling. And what I see in it is, I'm like, oh, look at this cute ass family. But I know the social media backlash behind it is going to be crazy. And not more so black folk, but white folk go in too. White folk.
Well, I mean, now that it's 45's America, people they have no couth. So it's guns blazing. They don't care. So I think this is a continued discussion. I would love to have everyone make comments on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. But interracial dating, I mean, everyone's going to have different perspectives. But they kind of, I think between the three of us, they vary between some of the things that we've said. Like you've probably heard some of the things that I said growing up, even though that wasn't your perspective. Obviously, Snap, we've heard your generalizations before growing up as black women and what black women aren't willing to do. And so, yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So.
No, but I do agree. It's a discussion that always, that's what we lack.
Mm-hmm.
I think you don't realize because usually it's just women to women talking about it.
Yep.
Or you and your boys talking about it.
Right.
But you're not talking about right.
And
You're not talking about it with people that have opposing viewpoints on
and
it.
so remember that
men don't know that that's what we're thinking.
Right. And this is where I go back to that, can lovers be friends? Can friends be lovers? Because at a certain point, we stop communicating to our lover a certain way that we don't stop communicating to the friend. And so what I've learned was, no, it wasn't that white women do things differently than black women. It's the person. And it was the communication of the person. It wasn't like if you were uncomfortable with doing this because this wasn't what you did, we had to get comfortable doing it. And if it wasn't something, that you weren't comfortable with, then we had to try something else. Or,
right. But then, but the conversation wouldn't happen. It would just be a generalization like, let me leave her alone. I'm going to go find me a white woman or a woman, like an Asian woman or whatever.
Right. The drama, I don't do drama. So I never had the, oh, no, that angry black women. These are all, I don't want to say stereotypes, but the labels that media influence. Like you would swear every black woman got 4 kids on Section 8 on the system so they can get a bigger check at the end of the year.
Oh,
But you're talking to 2 women, Gerine and I, at college educated, master's degrees,
but that's
no
not
children, not
But that's
married.
not what we see on TV.
I know.
Exactly.
I know. Craziness. Woo! Come on.
Yeah. They need
Come
to start
on, Black
showing
and Nuance.
black beauty on TV
Yeah.
and commercials.
But then that's when,
like
but
that.
then you get into the whole conversation about that's why we need to build our own, right? That Diddy has Revolt. I mean, Diddy's still doing whatever he wants with the content, but then you have to have more content creators display more of us. Issa Rae with Insecure, Georgette Pierre with her own shit, building my own stuff as well. Like that's where it really happens, right? So, yes. So, sis,
Gerine, it was a pleasure meeting you, young lady.
I know, talking to you on the phone.
I have to meet you in person one day.
Absolutely. So, sis, how can they find
come
you?
to the MIA.
Oh, yeah, you coming for New Year's.
You welcome.
Yeah,
Creator willing. That's what we're working on.
We're working on that. We're working on that.
Sis, how can they find you on social media?
Yes. Hit me up at sincerely_Gerine. That's GERINE.
On which platform, sis?
Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram.
That's where she lives. That's where she lives. Okay. So,
I live.
That's right. I live for that. Sis, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. I enjoyed this. Really, I did.
Thank you. You are awesome.
And Snap, how can they find you? And I am going to make you do the socials for Black and Nuance. We're not leaving.
I got it.
Okay, let's go.
So they can find me ROB_OSNAP, OSNAP at IG. That's Instagram. And Rob OSNAP, one word, on Twitter. And so how you find us? Black Nuanced at Twitter, Black Nuance Pod at IG, on SoundCloud, Black Nuance Pod.
You messed it up.
Damn.
We're going to run it again. Twitter and Instagram are the same.
Black Nuance Pod.
Yep.
Perfect. I think I said that. But on SoundCloud.
No, you said Twitter Black Nuance.
Did I?
Yes. You said Twitter Black. So run it back. Snap.
All right.
Where
on Twitter.
Yes.
On Twitter at Black Nuance Pod. On IG at Black Nuance Pod.
Uh-huh.
SoundCloud. SoundCloud, blacknuancepod.url, or is it just URL?
Just type in. So what you could say is for SoundCloud, Apple, and the other ones, just type in Black and Nuanced podcast.
And I know on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher, it's Black with the plus sign nuanced.
Right. They don't have to put the plus on. They can just put Black and Nuanced podcast.
Bam.
We're going to make
See
it
that?
simple. See? Steph is going to get it right one of these days.
Once.
Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Georgette. Instagram at Georgette Star with 2 R's. And GeorgettePierre.com. Snap. This was a good one.
You are awesome. Another good one.
Another good one. All right.
Don't forget, it's powered by Excitement
Right,
Radio.
we did. We need to say that in the beginning because we definitely forgot. We were off our rockers last week, boy. Because the election and the recounts are really happening.
There's a lot going on.
Right, and then the margins got... anywho.
And we doing a recount.
Oh, for
and we getting sued. How you going to sue Broward?
Oh, my gosh. It's a mess. So, anywho, peace.